Today we're going to give you a tour of the sewing machine that you'll be using to complete the Girl Scouts Machine Sewing Badge in a Box projects. Your rental could have included either the Janome or Simplicity machine, so we'll be going over the parts of the machine and looking at how to thread and replace the bobbins in each of them. You can also refer to the printout we've included as you work on your project. First, we'll look at the parts of the machine. There's the spool pin that holds the spool of thread, the bobbin winder spindle, where the bobbin is placed during winding, the bobbin winder stopper, which stops winding the bobbin when it reaches capacity, the hand wheel. This knob manually raises and lowers the needle. The stitch length dial controls the length of the stitch. We won't be using the zigzag stitches. We'll primarily be using the first 3 stitches. These are seam stitches. Shorter stitches are for finer fabrics and longer for heavier fabrics. When you press the reverse stitch lever, the machine will sew in reverse, which locks in the stitching. Next, you have the power cord and the power switch. The bobbin winder thread guide will be used when you refill the bobbin. Next is the thread tension dial. This controls the tension on the top thread. If too tight, the bobbin thread appears on the right side of the fabric. If set too loose, the needle thread loops to the underside of the fabric. On the top left is the thread take-up lever. Down here is the presser foot. When lowered using the lever on the back side of the machine, this foot holds the fabric in place. Next, we have the bobbin cover, which covers and protects the bobbin holder while sewing. The bobbin cover release button gives you access to the bobbin. We also have the needle and the needle plate. Next, we're going to thread the Janome machine. First, place the spool of thread onto the spool pin. Make sure the presser foot is raised. Lead the thread from the spool and pass it through the thread guide. Then draw it down along the right slot in the machine front and back up around the check spring holder. Raise the take-up lever to its highest position by turning the hand wheel towards you. Draw the thread from right to left over the take-up lever and down into the take-up eye lever. Draw the thread down and slide it behind the needle bar thread guide from the left. Thread the needle and place the thread under the presser foot and towards the back of the machine. Next, we'll show you how to load the bobbin into the Janome machine. You may do this when changing thread colors, reloading the bobbin after the thread is gone, or unjamming thread that was tangled while sewing. First, release the bobbin cover and pull out the bobbin. After you refill your bobbin, you'll be ready to load it back into the machine. We'll cover that next. When putting the bobbin back into the machine, the thread should be coming down the left side of the bobbin, forming the letter P, and moving the bobbin in a counterclockwise motion when pulled. Place the bobbin back into the holder and guide the thread into the notch in the front of the bobbin holder. Draw the thread to the left and bring the thread out of the next notch in the holder. Then place the thread to the back of the machine. Be sure your pressure foot is raised at this point. Put the cover back on. Pull the top thread, or the thread coming through the needle, to the left of the machine. While holding the top thread with your left hand, turn the hand wheel towards you until the needle goes down and back up again. The top thread should catch the bobbin thread and pull it through the needle plate. Slide a scissor underneath the pressure foot to pull the thread through. Once the bobbin thread is through, merge both threads and move them under the presser foot and towards the back of the machine to get ready to sew. Next, we're going to refill the bobbin. Place a spool of thread on the spool pin with the thread coming from underneath. Pull the spool holder firmly against the spool. Pull the thread through the bobbin winder thread guide. Pop the hand wheel out to engage the bobbin winder. Next, take your empty bobbin and place the end of the thread through one of the holes in the side of the bobbin. Put the bobbin onto the winder spindle and move it to the right. Holding onto the thread that's coming out of the bobbin hole, press on the foot pedal until the bobbin is filled. Remove your foot from the foot pedal. Click the bobbin to the left and push your hand wheel back in. Next, we'll show you how to thread the Simplicity machine. Pull up the telescoping spool pin and place your spool of thread on it. Be sure the presser foot is raised. Snap the thread into the first thread guide at the top of the machine. Bring the thread down between the tension discs. Next, bring it down the right slot of the threading path, then across and up the left slot. Bring the thread through the take-up lever from right to left. Turn the hand wheel towards you to raise the take-up lever to its highest position. Then bring the thread back down the left slot to the threading path and into the thread guide above the needle. Here's a close-up of the thread guide. Thread the needle eye from front to back. Pull the thread under the presser foot and towards the back of the machine. Next, we're going to load the bobbin on the Simplicity machine. The Simplicity machine has a storage area with some extra pieces that you might need if your presser foot or needle breaks. This is also how you access the bobbin. Reasons for switching out the bobbin include changing thread colors, reloading the bobbin after the thread is gone, or unjamming thread that was tangled while sewing. First, release the bobbin by pulling on the lever of the bobbin holder. Then take the bobbin out of the holder. When loading the bobbin, place it into the holder so that the thread makes the letter B. It should turn clockwise when you pull on the thread. Put the bobbin back into the holder and pull the thread through the slit in the holder. Lock the bobbin into place by holding onto the lever of the bobbin holder until it's completely back in its place in the machine. Then release the lever. It should sit in the machine tightly and not wiggle around. With your left hand, grab the top thread and hold it. With your right hand, turn the hand wheel until the needle goes down and then back up again. The top thread will pull the bottom thread through the needle plate. Slide a scissors underneath the presser foot to pull the thread through. Once the bobbin thread is through, pull both threads under the presser foot and towards the back of the machine. Close the bobbin door and put the storage piece back onto the machine. Next, a quick sewing demonstration. Use the lines on the needle plate to keep your fabric straight as you sew. Place your fabric under the presser foot. Put the presser foot down and using the hand wheel, lower the needle onto the material. Use your left hand as a guide to keep the fabric moving straight. Press on the foot pedal to start sewing. When you reach the end of a piece of fabric, you may want to back sew. This is when you hit the reverse button on the machine and sew a few stitches backwards and then forwards again to lock in the stitch. Lift the presser foot and remove your fabric. Cut the thread and place both threads towards the back of the machine to be ready to sew again. A few other tips when sewing. Sit upright, preferably at a chair with back support. Your right foot is your pedal foot. Don't go too fast with the foot pedal as you can lose control of the fabric. If you're using pins to hold the fabric in place, do not sew over them. Know where your fingers are at all times. Keep your hair pulled back and don't wear long necklaces or loose clothing. That's it for our tutorial today. Thanks for watching and have fun sewing!